Wait, Diane's going to switch the computer over? Just like they did in 1814? It's Jenny's turn. You lead off. Jenny, lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I welcome everyone here from Putnam County to the July 2nd full legislative meeting. Roll call vote, please.
District number 1, Legislative Putnam.
Present.
District 2, Legislative Oliveria.
Present.
District 4, Legislative Nasarino.
Present.
District 5, Legislative Albano.
Here.
District 6, Legislative Rose. You, Raj.
Yes.
District 7, Legislative Castellano.
Present.
District 8, Legislative LaFleur.
Present.
District 9, Legislative DiCarlo.
Present.
District 10, Chairman Osmer.
Here. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, before we go into our regular meeting, if you don't mind, I didn't hear you. What was the resolution of the executive session? Was there no action taken, or was there something done in the executive session?
None. There's no action taken.
I'm fine, just for the record.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
As you know, I'm unschooled and
No, just for the record.
Okay, now we have some proclamations. Legislator Roger Gross, if you would do the first one, please.
Director Funicelli, can you come up, please?
I was reading over the proclamations. I wouldn't make any mistakes, and I forgot to say I was here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to present Director Funicelli of the Probation Department a proclamation from the legislature, from the county executive. Many of us in the legislature have had a chance to visit probation. They do a tremendous job. They're almost overwhelmed. The caseworkers have so many things to do, and it's so important in our system. Unfortunately, the jail is getting quite crowded. In fact, the women were overcrowded. We have to send them out to other jails in Rockland County and Rensselaer. So there's certainly a need for probation, certainly a need for parole. Anyway, Gene, I'd like to say that whereas pretrial probation and parole officers are all intricate and crucial professionals, to corrections is an essential part of the judicial system as well. Community corrections professionals uphold the law with dignity while recognizing the right of the public to be safeguarded from criminal activity and are responsible for supervising adult and juvenile offenders in the community. It talks also about trained professionals who provide the services and referrals necessary in response to New York state law. Community correction professionals promote prevention, intervention, and advocacy as well. Services and support protection for victims. Whereas community corrections professionals advocate community and justice and are a true force for positive change in their communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Putnam County Executive and the Putnam County Legislature do hereby proclaim the week of July 21st through July 27th as pretrial, probation, parole, supervision week. And we encourage all Putnam County residents to honor this community corrections professionals and recognize their achievements. They're a very important job they do. Chief, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. And on behalf of the men and women of the Probation Department, I want to thank the legislature and county executive for this recognition. What we do is a difficult job. It's a stressful job. The main purpose of our job is really to try and change people's behavior. It's not an easy thing to do. Even when you have leverage, people often don't get it. And we make every effort to try and get people on the right track. Just last month, Chairman Offner had a couple of comments about the probation department, and it was clear he recognized the difficulty that it was with the job that we do. I think you went a little overboard because you almost sounded like it wasn't a nice place to work. But it's really a great place to work because I got a great group of people working with me. And I know what you meant to say, but I almost was going to say, it's not so bad. It's difficult, but it's an honor to work there. And thank you very much.
Just call me Legislator Arthur. I feel like a communist when you call me Chairman Arthur. Marjorie Keith, I'm here for the 4-H. Another proclamation. I'm going to present it because I'm the liaison for the legislature to the 4-H Cornell Cooperative Extension. My kids went through the program with Marjorie. Come on up, kids. And I went through the Master Gardener program. As Marjorie knows, I'm a big gardener. So, anyway, where are you kids from? What town?
Carmel. Carmel.
Oh, wow. You look out, the Carmel girls are always good looking. Okay, I'm going to read the proclamation here. All right. Whereas the Putnam County 4-H Fair, sponsored by the Cornell Cooperative Extension of Putnam County, has showcased for the past 42 years the many interests and accomplishments of Putnam's children, adults, and programs. And whereas the Putnam County 4-H Fair continues to grow as an educational, cultural, and fun event that provides a wholesome experience for families from Putnam and the surrounding region. Whereas the Putnam County 4-H Fair enjoys the support and dedication of 4-H club leaders, members, and families, master gardeners, volunteers, and community service organizations, including Rotary clubs, Lion clubs, as well as many local businesses. And whereas the Putnam County 4-H Fair provides a unique opportunity to learn about our community and view educational displays and exhibits created by the many talented young at heart residents of Putnam. And whereas the Putnam County 4-H Fair's Shady Grove Theater provides a showcase for the Putnam youth and performing arts and an array of accomplished performers from the Hudson Valley region. And whereas the Putnam County 4-H Fair delights fairgoers throughout the weekend with activities at the Discover Putnam Creative Corners, game tents, livestock pavilion, rabbit and poultry barn, dog obedience, trials, country living auction, and more. And therefore be it resolved that on the week of July 22nd to July 28, 2013 will be designated the Putnam County 4-H Fair Week. And be it further resolved that the Putnam County Executive and the Putnam County Legislature recognize and congratulate the 42nd Annual 4-H Fair and invite all Putnam County residents to attend. I hope everyone here has been to the fair at least once. It's a great event. Marjorie gives her heart and soul to it. My wife raised goats when she was a kid, and actually I lived in the goat barn when I first got married. But Marjorie, you do a great thing, and I'd like it if you just say a few words.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you to the legislature and the county executive's office for this proclamation. And I would like to introduce our 4-H members here tonight. You know they're from Carmel and from Mahopac, but I want to tell you that they've been busy already starting to get ready for the Putnam County 4-H Fair. In fact, they were out at the county park today washing out refrigerators, cleaning off games. They work in our office. By the time the fair rolls around, they will have volunteered over 1,000 hours of service to make the 4-H Fair happen. Tonight are Nicole, Lee, Tess, Carly, and Patrick. And Patrick's going to tell you a little bit more about the 4-H Fair, if you will indulge us for a couple more minutes.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Patrick Salerno. I am 14 years old, from Mahopac, and I'm here to tell you about the 4-H Fair. The Cornell Cooperative Extension of Putnam County is hosting their 42nd annual Putnam County 4-H Fair, which will take place at the Putnam County Veterans Memorial Park in Carmel, New York, and will be in the last weekend of July, which is July 26th, 27th, and 28th. There's a lot of stuff to do at the fair, including playing games at the games tent, getting your face painted, and making cool arts and crafts at the crafts tent. There's also lots of cool shows and demos, like magic shows, dog shows, which I am a part of, and horse shows, and even puppet shows. The 4-H group is looking for a lot of volunteers to help out. If you're interested, you can reach us at, let me get the number, 845-278-6738. Or you can email us Email us. I can't do it. I'm just going to skip that. I'm just going to read the email. www.cce.cornell.edu/Putnam. Thank you.
So we invite all of you to join us at the 4-H Fair. You do not have to be in 4-H to participate, to showcase your exhibits and projects, to volunteer, or to attend. So free admission, free parking. Come see us the last weekend in July. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Margie.
Thank you.
Good job on everything. Okay, all right, item number 3. I need approval of the minutes of the special meeting of June 5th, 2013, the regular meeting of June 5th, 2013, and the Budget and Finance Committee meeting of June 5th, 2013. So moved, right? Okay, correspondence from the county auditor. Michelle is not here, right? There's no correspondence? No, there is correspondence, I'm sorry.
No activity.
No activity. No activity. Oh, 4A, okay. Okay, item 5, pre-filed resolutions. Okay, the first is the Budget and Finance Committee, and this is all legislators, which means me. I'd like to have any discussion on the approval of the 2014 decentralized budget review process. Everyone good? Motion, all in favor?
Second.
Okay, Protective Services Committee. Roger Gross from the town of Southeast, please, it's your show.
Mr. Chairman, on behalf of legislators LeBlue, Oliverio, and myself, I've asked for approval, reappointment of the Putnam County Traffic Safety Board, and Mr. John Fantasso, who's from Phillipstown, he's appointed to a 3-year term.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next, the Health, Social, Educational, and Environmental Committee, led by Chairman Sam Oliverio of Putnam Valley. Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of legislators DeCarlo and Scucciamara, I'd like to move forward the following resolutions. Mr. Chairman, I ask your support on this. I'd like to combine 5C through 5H. These are all memorializations that are going to NISEC, also the governor, the Senate, the Assembly, requesting that much of the funding for mandated and unfunded mandates and funded mandates be increased to support many of the social services priorities and activities that social service provides to our constituents. As you know, over the years, the state has put more and more of a burden on the counties to support these social services programs, and we are asking the state to restore the type of givebacks to the counties that they originally had, just a matter of a couple of years ago. So all of these pertain to the same thing. I'd like to combine them for the sake of efficiency.
Do I need a motion on this, Clem? No. Everyone, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 5I, which is a separate memorialization from Ulster County opposing Governor Cuomo's proposed 2014 budget cuts to the New York State Office of People with Developmental Disabilities budget. Now, I understand some of that was restored, but it still is sitting on the governor's desk waiting for a signature. So I would request that we, like Ulster, send this request to the governor, asking him to please restore much of the money that was cut. As you know, the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities got hammered this year in the budget process. Of course, Park, thank God we were able to restore that for the children that are in such need for their academic success, and many other programs though are also caught in this bind. So this requests the state to restore these, and I'd like to move that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And finally, Mr. Chairman, I would like to table 5J, which is the approval of Putnam County Solid Waste Management Plan. We need a little bit more time for our legal department and ourselves to go over this. It is a massive plan, so I'm asking that we table that to August.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Legislator Blue, second. All in favor?
Aye.
If I can, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, not to August, till September. In August, we'll discuss it at our committee level meeting, and in September, we'll put it forward.
Okay. Okay, Diane? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No problems. Sam's basically saying that, call your state representatives, because we're not responsible for these things, right? Okay, the Personnel Committee, Chairman Anthony DeCarlo from Hopac.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of myself, legislators Groves and Nasarino, I'd like to move 5K forward for approval of authorization of the Putnam County Voluntary Targeted Retirement Resignation Incentive Program. As you know, during the committee meeting, Bruce Walker and Adrian Spedicini came to us. This is something that's been done in the past. It's just targeted for people who have 25 years or more in X amount of years of service. They're entitled to X amount of dollars. Again, it's conversations with personnel as well as each department chair with regards to moving forward with this process.
Any discussion?
For clarification, if I could, and this does not involve any people that are currently retired and their insurance costs, because there would seem to be some miscommunication. So.
All in favor?
Aye.
And next is approval of standard workday and reporting resolution. This is done on a yearly basis. All those, some of us elected officials and others for the standard workday, which have to be approved by the state. So I move this forward, 5L.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Anthony. Okay, next, the Fiscal Services Committee, led by Chairman Carl Albano of CARMEL. Sorry. Got it? You need the whole thing, or?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim. On behalf of legislators Othmer, Switchmar, and myself, approval amending Resolution 206, 211 Putnam County Golf Course paving project, approved the Physical Services Committee meeting. Comments?
Any discussion? Legislator LeBeau?
Through the chair, I'm just concerned, can we have clarification in terms of the credits for the impervious surface?
Deputy County Executive Bruce Walker, would you mind commenting?
Sure. There's presently 33,000 credits, square feet credits at the golf course. There's 4,000 that are allocated to the soccer fields, which is up about 29,000 and change. We will be using all 29,000 to do the paving the parking lot, and the remaining 10,000 that we have for the 30,000 square foot parking lot gets covered by the use of this pervious paving and filtration system underneath it. But we still have 120,000 square feet of car paths that are available to be removed if we need to cover, like the barn, 2,566 square feet.
You know what I'm
Through the chair, Dean.
Through the chair, I'm concerned about Hill Acre and the credits for the barn that was removed. So as long as we won't be jeopardizing those credits, it seems like this will be in two pieces, that this is just one component, and later on we'll go back, and then the car paths will be pulled up, and then we will have additional credits, which will also cover the ball fields, correct?
It's already, the ball fields that we already did under contract with CARMEL, so they were accounted for. And 120,000 square feet after we cover the 2,500 square feet we need for the barn.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 2, approval amending Resolution 206, 2011 Putnam County Golf Course paving project revised. Revision on the basic plan that we started with. Any comments?
Increase on the square footage. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That's it, Carl? Okay. All right, next is the Rules Enactments and Intergovernmental Relations Committee. I got to shorten this committee name. Chairwoman Judy Nasarino from Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of myself and legislators Castellano and DiCarlo, I would like to address item 5N, approval of local law to amend Article 2, Section 2.02 of the Putnam County Charter entitled Term. This was a law that was originally introduced on December 27, 2010. It came to our attention that the actual vote did not garner the necessary 6 votes needed to change the charter, so we are addressing this issue this evening. We have changed the language somewhat in Rules Committee to define it more clearly and to indicate that any legislator shall not serve more than a maximum of 12 years' time, with just one exception that we added: any person serving more than 4 terms or 12 years as a legislator at the time of adoption of this local law shall be permitted to run for 1 additional 3-year term. So with that being said, I'd like to move this local law. So moved.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I request, and I don't know if I get the support, but that section E I would like to remove. I mean, the term limits are term limits. And I'm just putting it out there.
Let me just look at it for a second.
It applies to me, Mr. Chairman.
I think it also applies to a potential a candidate, someone who has declared himself a candidate, and in all fairness to that candidate, we
I
have
didn't know
included
that.
this language, so not to...
Then I retract that request, Mr. Chairman.
Carl?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. I was originally against term limits. I just want to explain why. I think term limits are very important when we deal with the government on the upper levels. That's a section of the government we don't get to speak to sit down with, and to really understand. When it comes to the legislature, we're dealing with people that live in our towns. These are our neighbors. The bottom line is people should be out and they should vote. It concerns me that if you should have a good legislator that's doing a good job, there will be a time when he can't run again, regardless of what the people think. That gives the opportunity for somebody to come in that may not be qualified. Basically, they see an opening and they can step into it. So, just so everybody understands, that was the original reasons why I said term limits on this level I really don't think apply. Based on discussions with my colleagues, I think that's the way we're going, so I'm going to vote yes. And that's what the public wants. But at this level, people should be out voting, and they should pick the people they want to be taking care of these terms. Very important.
Any other comments?
Just one additional comment, Mr. Chairman. I'm always kind of leery of term limits myself. I'm going to support this, though. But I'm hoping, by Putnam County getting on a map doing this, that maybe it might influence Albany, because Albany, the state and federal levels are where the massive criminal acts occur. Not here at the local level. We know each other. I can't remember the last time that a seated legislator or a council person was brought to trial for malfeasance in office, and yet that has happened numerous times at the Assembly and Senate level here in the state, and at the congressional and Senate level in the federal government. So I'm hoping we set the standard, and maybe those at the federal and state level may follow suit. That's why I'm supporting it.
Yeah, I'm in support of it, and usually I agree, Carl, and I agree on most things. I think there should be a fluid movement in politics. I think there should always be new people moving up to the ranks, and I said it before, Benjamin Franklin said that fish and house gas stink after 3 days. So that's the way I feel about politics. You don't give anyone a chance to set up empires or get a Tammany Hall thing or whatever. And I just think everyone should have a shot. People always have good ideas. And some people get shut out that are really smart and are very creative, and they get shut out because once someone's in it, they lock the position. And I believe when I first got here, there was a legislator that spent $55,000 to get elected to a $35,000 a year job. So it didn't make any sense to me. So anyway, any other discussion?
Yeah.
Do I need a roll call vote here? Is everyone in favor?
You have to roll call vote. I asked for a roll call vote.
Okay.
Yeah, charter, because
Roll call vote.
Yeah.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Carl.
Yes.
Legislator Gross.
Yes.
Legislator LeBeau. Yes. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Oliveri.
yes.
Legislator Bucciano.
Yes.
Chairman Mott.
Yes.
Motion carried.
No question.
The next item is the approval of the local law to amend Chapter 195 of the Putnam Code entitled Precious Metals and Gems. Just to clarify for the people here and those watching TV what this law means, the legislative intent is the legislative intent is hereby declared and found because of the increases in incidents and property theft, the increases in the price of precious metals and and the ease to which the secondhand dealers buy and sell precious metal gems without requiring identification or proof of ownership. These secondhand dealers represent to the persons involved in crime an opportunity to dispose of stolen property. Basically, this law is to protect the public from stolen goods that could be melted down without proper identification or without the proper time for any pieces to be identified clearly and be recovered. I would like to commend Chief Investigator Henry Lopez, Investigator John Alfano, Detective Jerry Lacasso, Detective Ben Neural, John Lee, Jean Marie Noel, and County Attorney Jonathan Engel, and myself. We all sat in a committee. We met. This was a law that has been introduced in 1983. However, the needs of the community have changed, and we have risen to meet those needs and to scope out the existing law and to craft the new revisions. So with that being said, I would like to move this law. So moved.
Any discussion? I'd like to say one thing. The Sheriff's Department did a wonderful job with this, and the Director of Consumer Affairs, Jean Marie Noel, A+. This is a really, really good thing. It's going to help crime in our area. There's a lot of heroin problem now, and people are breaking into houses looking to steal jewelry and so on and so forth. There was no way to track it. And as Ginny said, Ginny, you did a wonderful job in this too. But
thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Done.
Next item is approval of a local law to amend Section 302 of the Putnam County Charter. This basically is a charter change as a housekeeping detail. Chairman Ochner brought this initiative forth in an effort to ensure the necessary personnel that is requested to attend committee meetings is present, and we are able to conduct our meetings and the business of that night's agenda. We have not had any recent problems with department heads not attending. However, attendance will be mandated in accordance with the charter, thereby ensuring that no issues arise in the future. So I would like to, again, introduce this amendment to the charter. And we do need the necessary 6 votes, so I guess we need roll call.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator DeCarlo.
Yes.
Legislator Gross.
Yes.
Legislator LeBeau. Yes. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Oliver.
Yes.
Legislator Scuccione.
Yes.
Chairman Ochner.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next, I was waiting for... Okay, the Audit and Administration Committee, Chairman Joseph Castellano from Brewster. Joe, you have a heavy agenda here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of legislators Albano and Nasarino, I'd like to present the following consideration. 5Q, the approval of budgetary amendment for the Health Department, State Aid Early Intervention, Education and Transportation. This is a zero fiscal impact of moving some money around to cover some expenses, $50,000. Again, zero fiscal impact for 2013. I'd like to move it forward.
All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to say quickly, Jerry Locascio from the Kent Police Department, and Henry, I forgot to mention you guys, but Jenny too. You guys did a great job on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Richie.
5R is the approval of budgetary amendment, Commissioner of Planning, Transportation Consultant. This is the opportunity to bring someone into the Commissioner of Planning for purposes of creating a better planning system for the Transportation Department. It's $50,000, which will come out of a contingency, so it would be a fiscal impact in 2013 of $50,000. I think this is a good idea to bring us up to date on what we have and to make our system better.
Discussion, Sam?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just some quick questions. We have an individual who put together our transportation model right now, who did a lot of questions, a lot of surveying. I'm not going to say the individual's name. Again, I need clarification. If we have this individual in place who has been spearheading the transportation efforts in the county, what is the reason for this position again?
I believe, Sam, it's to get an expert on transportation. Our planning department did a great job. but the planning department is in charge of the bike trail and several projects at the same time. We're going to get someone in that can do a surgical analysis of the bus transportation system that has worked in other cities and other municipalities that really knows how to study this, and we can get the best buy for our buck. And I right away the fee went from $2.50 to $2 a fare. Just from the study it's going to go. So we're just bringing in an expert.
Through the chair, if I could.
Dean.
Based on that explanation, I can't vote for this. A, first of all, it's coming out of contingency. B, we just appointed a manager of transportation, and he's receiving $75,000. Shouldn't that person be the person that we're referencing here tonight? Because my understanding is we need someone who's familiar with the federal transit laws, Federal Administration Transit laws, that govern the transit system. So shouldn't that be the manager of the transportation department?
There's a few more comments. I'll respond to Deanie. We have a civil engineer as our commissioner of highways, yet we do hire engineering consultants on certain projects because they cannot be constantly engaged in every project. If we have a bridge to fix or a certain road condition, we will hire consulting engineers to cover for us, and that's the logic that I use. Joe?
This is, it came out of committee and through audit. It came out of the report, and it was to hire a consultant. It's not a full-time job, it's not coming with benefits, but it's someone who gives us more of an expertise as what's to go forward with this system. I think this person, the consultant, will bring some good ideas, and in the long run, we're going to save more than $50,000 by getting the system up and running.
I'll make the money on it. Carl?
Yeah, we did a study, we looked at everything, and we see that there's major areas where we can make improvements. Now, the next step is to take action, to actually make changes and go in that direction. And that's what this position is going to be for. Everything that we looked at is useless if we don't implement something that's going to improve it, cost savings, make it more efficient, and bring it up to where it should be. So you need that person in that position to add to that whole department and really pay attention to this. It's a lot of money that's being spent.
Barbara?
On the cost of the transportation. I'm sorry.
I agree with you. We have this fantastic study that is going to change the transportation in this county, but we need to implement. We have a lot of studies that sit on the shelf, but we need someone that can sit in here temporarily and get this motor moving. So I really want this going.
Sam?
The qualifications for this position, it's a consultant, would be somebody who has a degree in, I would get municipal management, transportation system, something like that. That's what I would request. Just to hire, we have an individual who is very skilled in many fields as our transportation manager right now. And it would be superfluous, I think, to hire somebody who does not have the specific skills. So I would request that would be a necessity.
Well, Eldridge, do we have a job description for this, or may I ask you?
This would be somebody hired as a consultant.
And that would be their specialty?
Right.
Exactly. So it would be like, Ginny?
It's not a county.
Okay.
I agree. I think what was determined out of committee that the Transportation Task Force Chair did a tremendous job scoping out the plan and came forth and said that although he did as much work as he did do, he felt he would feel more comfortable getting someone with the proper expertise to execute the plan and bring this whole thing to fruition. So we certainly will be supporting a transportation consultant with the proper qualifications.
It's the key, Mr. Chairman. And
No, it's a good point, Sam. It's a very good point.
I want that entered into the record that I will support this position, but only, that the hiring will be somebody whose expertise lies in the area of transportation planning or municipal organization, something like that. A layperson to put in there, like I said, is redundant. We have a transportation manager who's overseeing it. Now we need the expert. So I will support the concept. I'd like to see the hiring.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that was the intent when the request was proposed to the committee.
And it shall be done. All in favor?
One no. Roll call vote.
One no, all in favor?
Yeah.
One no. Dean will vote. Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
5S is the approval of a budgetary amendment for the Bureau of Emergency Services local enhancement of the wireless 911 program for 2011-2012. It's a zero fiscal impact to cover this, and I'd like to move it forward.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
5T is the approval of fund transfer for Commissioner of Highways and Facilities for a temporary employee. This money is being moved out of personal services, $25,000 to cover some temporary employment. What was discussed was the fact that, it's good to hire someone as a temporary person and moving forward. Hopefully this is the right person for the job, and in the future hopefully becomes part of our team here in Putnam County. It's a zero fiscal impact, and I'd like to move it forward.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5U, approval for a fund transfer for the Sheriff's Department on motor vehicles. This money is coming out of a telephone fund, $26,000, and going into a motor vehicle fund. It's a zero fiscal impact to purchase a new motor vehicle. This is money that the jail has received from inmate transactions and has been moved into our system. And it's a good thing for Putnam. It's a zero fiscal impact, but we can move forward.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
5B, approval of fund transfer for Commissioner of Highways and Facilities water operator certification. This is $10,500 that's coming out of contingency. We have a retirement in Putnam County where our water operator was trained to do so. We're trying to train some new people to test the water for certain county issues where it is $10,500 coming out of contingency, and it is for training purposes and hiring a subcontractor. I'd like to move that forward.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5W is the approval of the secret determination. It's a $150,000 bond issue for replacements of sidewalks at various county facilities throughout the county. It is a bond where we're taking advantage of some low interest rates to cover some of our broken infrastructure in Putnam County and some of the county office buildings. It's something that's overdue, and it certainly causes some potential problems. Someone could trip and fall to that extent, and it's a considerable amount of work as what was presented to us in committee. I'd like to move it forward.
Discussion.
Discussion, legislative bill?
Through the chair, I spoke to the committee with respect to this. This is a 10-year bond. I don't know why we're bonding $150,000 for 10 years. To date, we've bonded over $3 million. We seem to be bonding ourselves, putting our children and our grandchildren into debt. I'm concerned that we have to bond $150,000. I don't have an issue with the need, that we need to do these repairs, but I think it should be taken from contingency and not bonded for 10 years.
I'd like to make a comment. Whenever the administration and the legislature look at these bonding details, it goes to the finance department, and they're well balanced and analyzed that we will stay under our 2% tax cap. And as certain bonds come off that have matured, these new ones come on. Now, the $150,000, we also are privy to lawsuits that come through this county. And I've seen some crazy lawsuits from employees and people that stop and they trip on a curb or something that's not right, and it costs us $300,000. And what we're going to do here, we're going to troubleshoot areas that could be potential lawsuit areas where they trip and hurt themselves, and we're going to save a lot of money by spending this. But they're very carefully analyzed through the finance department. Sam?
I support the CEQA resolution because the work needs to get done. I do agree with Deanie, though. I will be voting no on the bonding. I would much rather see it come out of contingency or the general fund, because we do have the $150,000 there, and to bonds $150,000. When I first started government, you go to those training sessions, and one of the things they specified in NICEC training and also the municipal town trainings is you never bond anything that can be handled with an immediate cost, unless it's a large project. You don't want to bankrupt your taxpayers through that. $150,000 certainly can be found in our budget, and I would much prefer getting the work done. It has to get done. That's why I'm going to support the CEQA portion of this, but not the bonding. And I ask us to reconsider as we just pull it from general fund or from the contingency, $150,000. We have that available to bond it for 10 years. I have to agree with Deanie. We're over bonding things that I believe do not necessitate the bonding process.
Yeah, but Sam, I disagree. Bill Carlin has done a phenomenal job in controlling the finance of this county. I think we were one of the few counties in New York State that stayed under the 2% tax cap. And I really, when I go in to talk to him about certain subjects, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to plan. So, I mean, the money we give away in lawsuits in this county.
Well, we need to do the work. Don't get me wrong.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I do trust Bill's judgment. Carl? Oh, Anthony, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
just for the record, if you remember, we're in the infancy stage of this, but we did, based on discussions we had at last year's budget, and Mr. Carlin can speak to this, we do have set up a capital reserve fund, okay, and where that, hopefully, once we sell some of these properties, both residential and commercial, once they're sold, that's where the earmark is to go. So hopefully, down the road, those monies will be in that account that we can tap into. So just for the record, because
No, that's a good point. We have, I believe we have 20 properties, just for the public. We actually passed the legislation here that when properties go up for foreclosure, certain properties are commercial properties, that they're worth more in the real estate market than they are that we could get at an auction. So we passed a law, and we did it properly with a lottery with real estate dealers, where we sell them for the market value, and we make the public whole. Because a lot of people, if a business or something closes, you feel bad for them, but the tax roll goes on all of us. So the law department came up with a really good solution. The problem is, Anthony and Sam, is that last year, if I remember my numbers correctly, the administration budgeted $426,000 of the potential sales to use in our budget for this year, 2013. And then actually the only ones that voted against it was Vinnie Tamagna, Carl and I, and Ginny, Barbara, and Joe weren't here yet. They voted to balance our budget and raise it $176,000 to $600,000. And I was against it, and Carl was against it at that time, because we balanced our budget on fictitious money that wasn't there. And to date, we have not sold one piece of the property, any of those properties yet. I'm hoping they sell for all of us, but anyway, that's it. All right. All in favor? Roll call vote. Roger, we talk.
Interest rates are still low, but they're going to change. There's already been creeps on 30-year interest for mortgage and so forth. So I think it's important when we can have the opportunity to bond at low rates, we take advantage of it, because times are changing.
Joseph?
I just want to continue on that point. Certainly, we're taking advantage of some historically low interest rates. $150,000 is approximately 30% of our contingency. We had two issues that we just approved that came out of contingency for far less money. I do think this is the wise thing to do, as bond council has brought forward, as the Commissioner of Finance has done as well. So I'd like to move it forward.
And Carl?
Yeah, but based on that logic, I agree. This is as low as bonds are ever going to be, as far as I can see. And then when we did speak to Bill Carlin, he did explain the fact that bonds are coming off. So basically, we're replacing things that are coming off the books. It's not like we're raising the numbers out of proportion. I would like to, in the future, though, take a look at where we were for the last few years as compared to where we're going, and just make sure. But I don't think this is going to make or break us, and it's the right time to bond. So I'll support it.
Roll call vote, please.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Carl.
Yes.
Legislator Gross.
Yes.
Legislator LeBeau. No. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Oliveri.
For the CEQA determination, yes.
Legislator Scuccione.
Yes.
Chairman Nardi.
Yes.
Motion carries.
One more.
Yeah.
You got two more, actually.
Okay.
Oh, no. We're on,
5X.
hold on, Joseph, 1 second. 5.
Okay. The bond
This is the
resolution
approval of
itself.
budgetary amendment for the Commissioner of Highways and Facilities, the sidewalk replacement program, $150,000 that we just bonded.
This is the bond.
This is the bond.
This is the
Right.
The other one is secret.
The other was just a CEQA. Yeah.
I'd like to move it forward.
Discussion?
Roll call, please.
Roll call vote, please.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator DeCarlo.
Yes.
Legislator Gross.
Yes.
Legislator LeBeau. No. Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Oliverio.
No.
Legislator Kushner.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 5Y, this is putting $150,000 in the appropriate place. This is approval of budgetary amendment. To transfer the money for the Commissioner of Highways and Facilities for the sidewalk replacement program. Moving forward.
Roll call vote again, please.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator DeCarlo.
Yes.
Legislator Gross.
Yes.
Legislator LeBeau.
Yes.
Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Oliverio.
To transfer the funds, yes. How'd they get there as well?
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. Joe, before we go to 5Z, I'd just like to circulate this through the audience. We're going to talk about the signs of the fun park starts tonight. Godzilla's coming. If you guys could just pass this down your aisles. Just so we don't, everyone is starting. Better copy of the contract? No, it's still being developed. What's that? You can't vote on it. No contract, no vote.
Rich.
I'm a Mason, Jeff. I'm not a lawyer. Just, you know what, I ask, it's going to be a very passionate meeting here, and I ask everyone to be respectful and everyone have an open mind and listen, because I spoke to probably 25 people last night that called me, emailed me, and everything else, and there's so many misconceptions out there, and there's so many false rumors. Just everyone have an open mind, and let's let democracy, take its course and see what's this, and then make a decision. Okay, Joseph.
Okay, 5Z, the approval of a proposed agreement with Bike Path Country Incorporated.
Motion to table.
I second that motion.
Discussion.
Do I have a roll call vote on this then? Sometimes that what I do?
We usually have discussion first.
Is there discussion on the table? I thought there's no discussion.
Hold on, let me speak, please, Ian.
No discussion on the table.
I thought so, Amy, thank you. All right, roll call vote, please.
Legislator Albano.
No.
Legislator Castellano.
No.
Legislator DeCarlo.
Yes.
Legislator Gross.
Yes.
Legislator LeBeau.
Yes.
Legislator Nasarino.
No.
Legislator Oliverio.
Yes, to table.
Legislator Kushner.
No.
Chairman Johnson.
No.
Motion carries.
Okay. Let's move on.
Okay, this did come out of audit, and I'd just like to present some information. Certainly, there's going to be a lot of discussion, we'll have the discussion. We have a bike path that runs through Putnam County. It's approximately 12 miles right now, and it's going to go further into the state of Connecticut by the year 2015. Sure, that's all right. No problem. We have a bike path that goes through Putnam County right now. It's currently about 12 miles. It's certainly going to go a little further. By April 2015, it plans to go all the way as far as the state of Connecticut. It's definitely park-like, and it certainly takes a big chunk of our budget. And this is an item that 10 years ago we didn't have to deal with, but it's a beautiful bike path, and it's certainly something that people of Putnam County enjoy and people from the tri-state area enjoy. There's people that come in from Connecticut, Westchester, and all over to enjoy this bike path. The bike path does go all the way down to New York City. But we're talking about the portion, the 12-mile portion within Putnam County tonight. And one of the biggest problems with this bike path, although I completely understand that people are opposed to this, is the fact that there's no mile markers on the bike path. This is definitely a safety issue. It's a 911 issue. It's a first responder issue. If you walk that bike path, I know a lot of people have told me that they know the bike path like the back of their hand. The problem is not everybody does. And if there is an emergency on the bike path, we're putting people in danger by not having the first responders get to the site of the emergency as quickly as possible. One of the problems is we have ambulance crews from CARMEL, from Brewster. When we call 911, we need to know the nearest point of entrance into that bike path to get to the people that are, experiencing an emergency. So I do think that having mile markers at a half-mile distance is a good idea, and we're reviewing this proposal that Bike Path Country Incorporated has proposed to us, and I want to open up the discussion. Of course, I know there's a sponsorship tag on this that everybody has concerns with, but my first and foremost concern is the people of Putnam County. We do need the safety issue here. We should have mile markers so everyone knows where they are in case of an emergency. With that, I'd open it up for discussion.
Okay, Legislator Carl, you go first.
Great. As I mentioned before, and many of you were not here, my objection to this is the whole issue of the process. We as a legislative body, when we met as a reorganizational body in January, talked about the need to get information in a timely manner so that we could study it. How do you go in and look at a contract an hour before a meeting and then come out and vote on it? It's just, to me, not proper. Again, it has nothing to do with the representatives from Bikeway. It's all about the process moving forward. I think we should have been given time. This has come before this body before, bodies before me. We've studied it. All of a sudden to have on July 2nd to not be able to look at it, ask those questions, have follow-up conversations, vet it out, and then look at it would be, I believe, the right way to go. Second issue, let's not make it about mile markers, okay? We have the effort in the county right now, and shame on us as a county that we haven't done this before, that we can make signs up and put our own mile markers on it so that our individuals will know where, God forbid, an emergency comes in. And last but not least, and this is the reasoning moving forward, back on when I was on the town board in town of Carmel, myself and a group of business people and residents started the townwide beautification and cleanup and zoning committee. And on July 1st of 2009, we in the town of Carmel on a 5-0 vote talked about the importance of signage, proliferation, cleaning up our garbage containers. So for me now to say, okay, I'm just going to ignore that and ignore the wishes of the people of the town of Carmel who I represent, I just can't do that. So moving forward, I'll be voting no on this resolution.
Thank you, Anthony. Our Legislator LeBeau.
Thank you, Chairman Osmer. I'll be voting no on this resolution as well. I like to be moral, intelligent people, and we learn from our mistakes. It was less than 8 weeks ago that we packed this courtroom with the New York SAFE Act because we did not follow process. We did not have a public hearing, so our constituents could comment on the issue. It was railroaded through the legislature. Also, with the Indian Point resolution, we stood here again with the courtroom packed, with the public here wanting to comment in reverse after we already passed the resolution through the legislature. So I think I have a problem with this on so many levels. We had a discussion at the committee level on the concept of the idea of putting advertisement on the bike path, but we have not discussed the details of the contract. There's so many moving parts to this and inconsistencies. At every meeting, we were given different information, whether it was the size of the sign, whether it was the price of the advertisement. I can't, in good conscience, vote in favor of this tonight. This, in my opinion, is bad government.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Respectfully to the county executive, my colleagues in the legislature, the law department, and everyone here tonight, I certainly favor mile markers. That's not the issue. That, as Anthony pointed out, they should have been done years ago. That's very important for safety. That's not the issue. This came before the legislature, before the four of us, the four new people who were on the legislature, and it was dead on arrival at a committee. It never got to the legislature, and here it is again. Westchester County, with all the funding they love to gather, they voted no for any advertising on a bike path. At the audit meeting the last week, or 2 weeks ago, creative ways were talked about to enhance the revenue stream. We have a lot of people that have to do community service. They've got misdemeanors, and they have to go out and do something in the county. They can work on the bike path. We also have prisoners that have fixed the road at Morningthorpe Bridge and Brewster. They can be used on the bike path. We have scouting groups all over Putnam County, which can be used for special programs, merit badges, Eagle Scout, and so forth. This bike path was created with grants. Why not apply for more grants for the continued maintenance of the program? If we think about it, there are ways we can do, and Anthony, of course, mentioned the sign department and the highway department, which does an excellent job. They could also be a part of this. Who wants this bike path advertising anyway? Who are the folks? The administration definitely does want it. The Putnam County Chamber of Commerce definitely does want it. Bikeway Country definitely does want it. 5 members of the legislature want it as well at last unofficial straw poll. Who else wants it? We in the legislature have received somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 dozen emails from all kinds of folks from all over the county wanting no advertising on the bike path. Personally, I've received several dozen emails, including phone calls, people stopping me on the street. They do not want commercialism on the bike path. Also, sign ordinances. I know Southeast has a sign ordinance, and so does Carmel. That's a contradiction right there alone. And speaking of contradictions, there have been many discrepancies and contradictions over what the company said they did do in Florida, what they didn't do, and what was presented. That's still not clear in my mind. I do not support advertising on the bikeway. We just don't need it. There are other ways to go. Thank you.
Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All along I've said this is just a bad idea, and it is a bad idea. Roger, we may have gotten 36 emails, but myself, I want to add easily another 500-600 to that, because I have reviewed the petition that's online, and there are hundreds of signatures saying this is a bad idea, from the western side of the county to the eastern side of the county. It is unanimous. Our constituencies, who we're elected to represent, do not want commercialization on this bikeway. You can shroud it any way you want. That's what it is. It's commercializing the bikeway. It's not what that bikeway was placed there for. I used to walk that as a kid, and I love that thing. And to put up these signs, mile markers, no problem. We should do that. We are the county of Putnam. That is our responsibility. I've said this billions of times. Our responsibility is the health and safety of our residents, and if we neglect that, what good are we? We are no good. Our governance is no good. We need to take the bull by the horns, not rely on a for-profit group, for-profit, using public land that's gifting to make a profit. I cannot believe that we're even entertaining this after having rejected it 3 years ago. There are so many aspects to this that just fire me up, and it fires our constituents up. We need to do the right thing. We need to put this to bed, let it go. We are making a huge error of judgment here. Again, this is just a bad idea. The process has been flawed from the start. It hasn't gone through the committee process the way it should. We were surprised by it tonight. We're surprised by a contract that was introduced at 6 o'clock this evening. I mean, come on, guys and girls, that's not good governance. Each and every one of us took a vow to represent the interests of our constituency, not one individual or not a sole group, but our constituency, the greater good, the greater good. I have always run my elected governance on 3 basic principles: the health and safety of the individual, the greater good, and the people's choice, the people's right. And I believe that we are just violating those tenets by trying to rush this through. Give us time to investigate this further. That's why I favor the tabling motion. That's what we need to do. This is a flawed idea. We all know it. We're sitting here and fighting with ourselves, saying, what should I do? What should I do? Well, I know what I'm doing. I'm voting no on this thing because it's an abomination. It should never have come before us. I could go on for hours. That's enough, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Sam failed to mention when he walked the bike path when we were kids, it was railroad tracks.
It was railroad tracks.
They made the movie Stand By Me after Sanders. Okay, Carl Benham.
Yeah, Sam, just addressing that, I'm sure in my decision what I want to do. I don't have any second thoughts. When presented with all the facts, there have been times where I changed my decision. When this first came before us a couple of years ago, along with the rest of the legislatures, my opinion was I don't want any advertising on the bike path. I don't want to see large signs, signage. I didn't want to disturb the beauty of the bike path. Shortly after that, the group that was presenting this came back and asked the administration to take a look at it, see what it actually is all about. I fortunately happened to be leaving the building at that time, and somebody called me and said, would you like to come in and just see what's here? I did that. I took a look at it. I didn't stay for the whole meeting. What I saw, I liked. And I said, you know, this would be a good idea to bring back to the legislators. Let's revisit this and look at it again. There were no secrets. There were no decisions made. It was a concept. I looked at it clearly, and I said, you know, this does have some potential. A lot of things had to be addressed, and let's bring it back and take a look at it. Questions came up, which branch of government is in charge of this? Who should be taking care of that? And so the thought was, let us all look at it together. We're a team. Even though there's two different branches of government, I believe we can be a team and work together and do the right thing. It was brought to the legislature, okay? And let me just think of my thoughts here for a second. I did see many emails. Sam said maybe 500. I didn't see 500 emails. But
That's signatures on a petition.
Signatures on a petition, 500. This county is 100.
Authored by someone that doesn't live in Putnam County. Go ahead.
Yours is a signed by.
All right, wait. I want to...
Quiet, Carl.
Excuse me.
Please, Jeff.
Excuse me.
Carl,
Can I please finish talking? I'm going to treat everybody with respect, and none of us have to get excited or nasty. It's 500 signatures, and I respect that, and I read them, okay? Some of them were nasty emails, okay? I'm trying to do the job that I was hired to do and do what's best for all 100,000 people in Putnam County. 500 names might represent, what, 0.5%? Many people don't use this bike path, but they do pay for it indirectly. This is an expense we didn't plan on years ago, and it's going to continue to be an expense. There's going to be times when we have to repave the bike path. I have never been in favor of advertising. When I look at this, and it has been painted a different picture as sponsorship, I think there's a good possibility that this could really work well. 10% sponsorship on the signs, I don't think is enough for somebody to put their name there. However, we've made that commitment so that we can show the public we really don't want to see major advertising. I've looked at the signs. I think they're aesthetically pleasing. I think they can have a valid place on the bike path. As far as the income that this derives, if there was no income, I still think they have a valid place on the bike path for safety. I talked to Joe Castellano. He told me about someone who had a heart attack on the bike path. And it was a little bit of a complicated issue with 911 and the emergency responders. As far as volunteer groups, that's a great thing. There's many things we could do. Up until now, none of this has happened. We have a Putnam County company willing to take a chance on this. We're not expending any money. Nothing's coming out of the county's dollars and cents. And the bottom line is, we're proceeding with something that makes a lot of sense for welfare and safety of the county, the 911 responders. This is not two ways. At the end of the meeting, you can talk.
I volunteered to raise money to buy.
Jeff, you can't talk. You're out of line. You're out of line. You can't talk. It's a legislative session right now.
Let me know.
You can't talk.
The bottom line is that business and government partnerships can work, and it can benefit everybody. The way I look at this is it's very simple. We take a shot at this. We're very, very conscious of the fact we don't want major advertising. We go into this for a year. We take a look at it and see if everybody likes it, if it worked, if it made sense. If it doesn't, we pull these signs out of the ground. They're cardboard. Tonight, the way I'm looking at this is I'm not approving a contract. I'm giving my blessing to the fact that I think the administration can act on a contract with the bike path country. I normally don't look at contracts. It's not part of the legislature to approve and review all these contracts. I have faith in the administration. Up until now, they've given me no reason to not have faith in it, to do the right job. I would like to see the contract. I would like us to look at it in the future and give our input. But I believe this could be a good thing for Putnam County, so I'm going to support it.
Thank you, Carl. Legislator Nasser.
I've engaged in many conversations and listened to many perspectives on both sides of the issue. After careful consideration, I remain steadfast from the onset and think that safety is paramount, and that those who frequent the bike trail should be safe and have a safe environment, and that should be our focus of consideration. I have previously served on the Zoning Board of Appeals for many years. I am particularly cognizant of the adverse effects that signage would have. I would not support signage that I believe would be detrimental to the experience of those frequenting the bike path. But I do shudder at the thought of an emergency occurring and we could not get to that person in a timely manner. So therefore, I believe that one life saved or one injury or incident addressed in a timely manner, then the right decision would be cast, and I would support it. I too frequently enjoy the bike path. I enjoy the peaceful experience and certainly respect the feelings on a personal level. I enjoy being in the moment. I enjoy yoga. I'm right there with all those people who feel that this is a very precious time for them and an experience that they want to enjoy. However, as an elected official, I also feel that I have a responsibility to act on the overall good of the people, and therefore I think that safety is of utmost importance, and I will be voting yes to proceed.
Thank you, Jim. Barbara?
I also will be voting yes on this. My district, District 1, is furthest from this bike trail. It is 12 miles of bike trail, and it costs this county over $80,000 a year to maintain this. It has to be maintained. You can't count on volunteers to pick up leaves and branches that have fallen down that can become a hazard. I believe my first responsibility to my district is to keep their taxes as low as we can, and I think with the supplement income from this project, this is the way to go for me. At first, when I thought about advertising, I thought it was a terrible idea, but then looking at these signs, I do not have a problem with these signs. And I think going over this contract, the administration will make sure that nothing is obtrusive on this path. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Joseph, give you only 1 minute.
Thank you. I just want to point out Commissioner Penna's email to us. I'm sorry, I'm battling a little bit of cough. Commissioner Penna's email said in 2012 was $150,000 on that bike path. Moving forward to 2015, going all the way to the state of Connecticut, it could be as much as $225,000. If we purchase the signs that are presented to us, that would be an additional $40,000 that we'd have to come up with. So you're looking at a lot of money here that we have never taken responsibility for in the past, and maybe that was maybe we didn't plan it through Putnam County, and when they decided this bike path. The bike path is fantastic. We're doing the right thing. The mile markers are a necessity for the safety of the community, and I'd like to certainly move it forward.
Okay, so my turn.
Does the chairman want to make an amendment to the resolution, taking out the first resolve for...
Clem, I want to speak too.
All right,
we're going to do an amendment to the resolution. Right, we're going to delete the first resolve.
Right.
Yeah, the amendment to the resolution, the first resolve paragraph was deleted, and then we're going to add resolve that the legislature hereby authorizes the county executive and the county attorney to negotiate an agreement with Bike Path Country Incorporated and submit to the legislature for review when completed.
Do I need a motion on that one? I do.
I'll make the motion.
So I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah, when you weren't in executive session.
Right, that's to amend.
Why are we making this on the floor? We're reading it now.
No, it was a motion to amend the printed resolution, okay? Now you vote on the amended resolution.
And I want to go over the language again because I didn't hear it.
I'll
I'm
repeat
sure
it.
the public didn't hear it either.
We can't hear it now.
I will repeat it.
Just for the record, legislators LeBeau, DiCarlo, and Oliverio did not attend the executive session, so that's why they don't know what's going on here.
No, I didn't, excuse me, now I'm going to have to comment on that. I did not attend the executive session because I'm against this entire
All right, this is not,
process.
Deanie, this is not,
What is it?
Deanie, we're not speaking about this now. We're making an
Then
amendment.
why'd you make that statement if we're not
Just
speaking about it?
so the public knows why you don't know what the language is.
why she didn't attend.
And I'd like to know.
When it comes for comment, ma'am, please, when it comes to comments from legislators, she has her chance to speak. When there's comments from legislators, she will have her chance to speak.
Should I hold my tongue? Should I hold?
Hold the wait. Yeah, that's fine.
Right, Joe.
What was changed was the last two paragraphs. Remove the second to last paragraph that started with resolve. The final paragraph is going to read, resolve that the legislature hereby authorizes the county executive and the county attorney to negotiate an agreement with Bike Path Country Incorporated and submit to the legislature for review when completed.
Okay, again, I guess do we need a roll call vote on this? Okay, roll call vote, please. To make the amendment from executive session. All right, Diane.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator DeCarlo.
Before I vote, so there were actions taken. The contract was amended. So originally, our resolution was amended. The resolution was amended.
Council, please comment.
The resolution is being amended now.
Oh, being read now.
Yeah.
So we just thought of that right now. There was a discussion prior to
Discussion
that.
on it.
Okay. This is what I mean. I'll go back and I'll get my vote in a second.
Andy, when we make comments later, you don't.
Oh, I will, but
You don't want to go into executive
The answer
session,
is
that's
no.
why you know what's going on.
Yeah, but my point is, I got my point out. No,
Okay.
nothing amended now.
Legislator Burrow.
Yes.
Legislator LeBeau.
Absolutely not.
Legislator Masserino.
Yes.
Legislator Olivero.
No.
Legislator Fujiwara.
Yes.
Chairman Ahmed.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, before we move 5Z, I'd like to make my comments. And I have a lot of them here. All right, number one, we are a tiny county. Westchester County and Dutchess County are large counties. They have a lot of industry, they have a lot of agriculture, and they have a lot of commercial businesses. Our biggest sales tax revenue is in a gas station. That's where we get our income from. We do not have much to play with. All right, so we need to be creative and figure out how we're going to pay our bills. In January and September, everybody looks at their tax bill and they want to know why it's going up. Well, we have a creative idea here to actually figure out a way to get some revenue into this county. These signs are made out of recycled material and they're biodegradable. It's compressed cardboard. They're going to consolidate. If you go down the bike trail now, you'll see at the intersections several metal signs, stop signs, whatever, railroad crossing signs. They're going to consolidate these, and you're going to have less signs on the bike trail. I was concerned in the beginning about the advertising, but then we're trying to promote tourism in Putnam County. Now, what is wrong? What? Please, I asked everyone to please have an open mind and please be polite. I'd like to get my thoughts out, and then in about 10 minutes you can torture me when you're ready. We're trying to promote tourism in Putnam County. Now, if we have a family that comes up from New York City for the day to use the bike trail, and as Joe Castellano said before, somebody has a heart attack. They don't know where the hell they are. What if someone's tire breaks and they smash their head into a tree or they break their arm? They don't know where they are. So the emergency service part of it is, it speaks for itself. We have, I know in Mahopac there's a bike shop. I know over by the Donald B. Smith Government Building is a bike shop. Maybe someone's going to stop at the sign and then at 10% they're going to see the signs for the bike shop. Maybe they need to have a repair done. And they're going to go there and they're actually going to buy something in Putnam County and the tax revenue will go to us. All right? Maybe they'll buy a new bicycle the next time they come up. Maybe they'll have lunch in Putnam Plaza. This contract, this fictitious contract that is still being worked out, which is not privy to the public yet, we're trying to tweak and work out all these details where you can't have Coca-Cola come in and dominate every sign. We're trying to promote tourism and our local business and our Chamber of Commerce's. The mile markers, I use the bike trail all the time. I was the railroad, Sam knows the train at my mom's house. She's 86 in Mahopac. The train went right in front of her house. It's still there. There's vandalism on that bike trail right now. There's spray painting all over the fence from the town of Carmel right there. We had a bench made out for my father, and that was destroyed. And I went down, and somehow it was fixed in the last 30 days. I don't know how it was fixed. But there's no one's patrolling the bike trail as we speak. There is a lot of garbage on the bike trail. Pristine, it is pristine in sections, but you do walk through a lot of people's backyards. When I go on it, I go over by 312 or Route 6 on the way to Home Depot. Simon's Junkyard is there. That's a half a mile of wrecked cars. These signs, they look so damn good that they're going to be a benefit to the trail. I mean, and I'm all worked up, so let me just settle down here. We're going for a 1-year contract. In 1 year, this will be reassessed. It could be a failure. I don't think it's going to be, but it could be a failure. And if it's a failure, we get rid of it. But if we can have a self-supporting bike trail, why not do it? Why not give it a shot? I mean, I see, people are so angry, and calls I got and everything else, and a lot of people like it. I had a graduation party for my younger son last week at my house. I had 300 people at my house, and my daughter uses the trail. She runs in races, and I asked a bunch of her friends what they thought about the idea, and they liked it. They don't go to legislative meetings. They don't read the local paper. They're like the silent majority. These are people that use it all the time, and so Dave, so. Training for triathlons, marathons, mile markers, no brainer to me. I mean, when I use it, I try to figure out, how far it went back and forth. The 911 aspect, just give me a second here. I said they're made out of cardboard, and they're biodegradable. Okay, and then as far as the contract goes, we as a legislature, Carl mentioned this, we do not have the power to sign contracts in the legislature. And most of the time, contracts are signed by the administration, and we see it after the fact. The administration actually extended themselves this time to let us go in and look at it and see if there's anything we don't like or we do like. And that was good. That was two branches of government trying to work together, no matter how you portray it. This has gone through 3 committees in the last 3 months. It went through the Fiscal Services twice and the Audit Committee. This has been vetted in public. This is not a big secret. And I will speak for all my fellow legislators. Everybody here cares about this county. We want to do good. No one wants to screw up. I believe me, if I put my name in something, I don't want it to be a failure. But sometimes you have to have guts, and you have to go out there and say, you know what, this is a good idea, let's try it. Because we've been stagnant in this county for a long time. And now you'll be able to torture me. All right, so that's all I have to say. All right, so
Can we continue the discussion among the legislators? Because I don't think we have...
No, everyone spoke once, Clem. This has been through 3 committees.
But you can't limit the concerted effort of a legislator. No, you cannot. That's out of order. I don't know. I protest.
You know what, to be fair, everybody go around one more time. Barbara, you go first.
I don't see how you can limit any discussion, Mr. Chairman. That's not in your purview. You are not a dictator. Unfortunately, there are role models here that are, but, don't be following them, please. Go ahead.
I'm just going to go over what I said before. This is an expense for our county. Deanie and Sam didn't want to do $150,000 on a bond because you're fiscally responsible. I want to be fiscally responsible for our taxpayers, and I think this is a good idea. I have no problem with these signs. Thank you. Okay.
Let's talk about the revenue. What revenue are we guaranteed? What exact money, what cash money are we guaranteed? This company claims we're going to set up signs and we're going to be able to give this county $50,000, which equates to half of their profits on the sign. And yet they have individuals they have to pay. They have to pay for the signs. They have to pay for the posting of the signs. What revenue are we guaranteed? Nowhere is there an estimate of revenue that we will receive. Nowhere is that to be found in any contract or anything other than we will give you half after our expenses of what we earn. Do we believe in Santa Claus now and the pink Easter Bunny? I'm sorry. That is not a guarantee. That is a blank check that is as rubber as a Super Bowl. I'm sorry. That I can't accept. There is no revenue attached. Nobody can tell me exactly on paper that we will gain this much money from that. So don't use the revenue as enhancing this and helping the county. We probably won't see a single cent from this endeavor. And it is our responsibility as the county, as the duly elected officials, to provide for the health and safety of its people. That's what we're elected to do, and I agree with Anthony. Shame on us for not putting those signs up sooner, and we need to do that. Also, this contract is not the county executive's domain. We had a legal opinion from our own counsel that said this is a land deal. This is using public property, our property, property of the taxpayers of Putnam, and using it for a for-profit group. So we have the oversight on any land deals, and I contend that. And in conversations with many individuals who are at a much higher level than the county level, they have said, absolutely, the legislature is privy to that, has to make the determination, not the county executive. This is a land deal. So the county executive cannot claim full ownership of this contract. It has to come through us. That is the balance of power. Also, Mr. Penna's costs were unbelievably inflated. Since when do we pay benefits to contracted individuals? Since when do we pay benefits to part-time employees, including retirement and all that, when they don't accrue it? That was so inflated, his cost, that I laughed when I got it. The actual cost for my configuration, hour per hour, and supplies, was about $60,000. And that is it. That thing was so inflated it was laughable, so I have to reject that out of hand. Again, this is a flawed project, Mr. Chairman. It is a flawed project, and I'm telling you, there are greater forces than us that are observing what's going on. This is a mistake. This is a real mistake. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Sam. Ginny.
I have a difference of opinion with Legislator Oliverio. I do not think this is a mistake. I maintain that safety is paramount and should be the focus of our concentration. Again, I believe that shame on us if somebody does get injured, has a heart attack, a child is lost, or someone is violated on that bike path, and we did not take the necessary measures to ensure that our first responders or law enforcement can get there in a timely manner. I'm confident that this is the right thing to do, and that is my decision.
I don't know, I have so many thoughts on this. Sam says there's no guarantees. The one guarantee I know is if we don't do this, we don't make a dime, and it will continue to cost us money. That's a guarantee I'm sure I can back up. If we do this, there's the potential to offset some of the expenses. If it doesn't happen, we look at this at the end of the year, and we say, too bad, it sounded like a good idea and it didn't work. The world's not going to end. You're not going to see billboards on the bike path. The administration, this county has the right to say what goes there. I have great faith in the administration. They haven't failed me yet. They're the ones who do the contracts. I've never approved a contract before. We had the opportunity to look at this conceptually, to say, does this make sense? It got there very late. I agree with that because this all happened so fast. I don't believe that's the final contract. I don't think that's exactly what's going to happen. But conceptually, I was able to look at it and say, it hit some of the key points, like 10% sponsorship. I don't want to see big names on these signs. I want these to be a benefit for the people using the bike path. Again, I'm going to say I see tremendous potential here. I hope I'm right. I feel in my heart I'm right. As far as talking to people, I saw all the emails. Some are nasty. I don't know why. We're trying to make the right decision. With all my heart, I can tell you I spoke to many people, and the overwhelming majority of the people supported this idea once they understood the type of signage we were putting on the paths. When it was explained what was going to go out there, people that said to me at first, I thought it was a bad idea, but now I understand what you're doing. The majority of the people I spoke to, overwhelming majority, supported this, and that's why I'm making my decision.
Roger.
I represent Southeast in the defense of Simon's Junkyard. If you want 87 Cutlass parts or 95, that's the place to go, so give them a break.
Good point.
My colleagues here in the legislature, leave an area of Putnam County free of advertising. I've had it up to my eyeballs on advertising. Mile marker signs are not the issue. Definitely, we're going to do that. I think everybody's in support of that. It's a wise thing to do. Emergency Services has been saying it. That's not the issue. The issue is Target and Dunkin' Donuts on the bike trail.
Joseph?
That's right.
Well, the one guarantee that we're going to get if we pass this contract is the fact we're going to get mile marker signs, and that's for the health and safety of our community. They're high-quality signs, they're small, they're 1 foot by 1 foot on the mile marker. So I just want to point that out. If we don't get a dime, we do get signs put up. In the case of an emergency, what's going to happen is these signs, when the 911 person picks up that phone call, they're going to know where the people are. They're going to be able to get the ambulance to this person immediately. This is a bike path. People get injured. You fall off your bike. You know, if there's a pothole, you can report it. You can walk that bike path and go, you know, there's a pothole at 6.5, and we're going to fix that. And I think that's why we need these things. We can pay for it, but we're not going to be able to keep our taxes low. We need to stay under that 2% tax cap, and that's why I'm for it. So at the very least, we're going to get signs that we need as a community. Thank you.
Deanie.
I just think that this just does not add up, doesn't make any sense. As Legislator Albano said, this was rushed through. Why? Where's the fire? Why can't we wait another month? What is the urgency with all of this? There is none. It's all created and it's fabricated. So someone's going to trip and fall on the bike path. Okay, that's what happens. And people take that responsibility when they go on the bike path. And we have our own sign shop. We don't need an outside private company to come in and create signs and to put mile markers on the bike path. Number two, we're setting a terrible precedent. Now, are we going to give out permits for people to sell hot dogs on the bike path? I don't think so.
No.
So this is setting a terrible precedent because we're allowing a private company for profit to come in and profit off of this bike path. They're creating a need. Remember, we didn't go to the public and say, we have a need. There's a revenue issue here. That company came to us for 3 years in a row, created a need, came to us, and that's where we are now. And I want to go over some information here. We started off at $100,000, that they were going to generate $100,000 in revenue for us. As we started to receive kickback and the public started giving us their opinions, which they're against it, the majority of people, I believe. In my district in Mayopac, I know they're against it because my phone has been ringing off the wall. And I know, as Legislator Carl mentioned, a couple of years prior to this, they went to the town board, and it was turned down because people felt like, my gosh, if you pay attention to any election, what's the number one issue that people complain about is the aesthetics, the way Mayopac and Carmel look. So the idea that what we're going to do is do the same thing to the bike path is to add signage. You're talking about added graffiti. To me, this doesn't make any sense at all. It's counterintuitive. And then the idea when I was questioning, and I'm sorry to personalize it, because there's two issues here. One is process, and the other one is the concept of all this. When I questioned the business model, they couldn't articulate the business model. When I asked for the business plan, they have it, but they couldn't show it to us. I mean, this doesn't make sense. And again, why are we running? I mean, if we've learned from our mistakes, what's another month for us to go over the contract and the specific details with the public? What does it matter? There's no fire. And another thing, isn't this going to trigger SECRA, this process?
Yes, it will. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So, to me, we need to do more. We need to do more research. You know, in another month from now, nobody's going to, we're not going to go bankrupt because supposedly we're going to be losing out on $40,000 on revenue, if in fact that's the case. I still don't understand on paper how they're going to make a profit because they can't articulate it. And so I think I absolutely am against this. I think this is a big mistake. I think the public is watching us. And this is, I think, a misstep in a long line of missteps. Thank you.
Anthony?
Well, let's go back to the beginning. The reason why we're here tonight is because originally we were told we didn't even have to have this discussion, that it could have gone through the executive branch. And because we collectively, as a legislative body, hearing about the proposal, asked to be involved in the process. And the county executive office said, yes, you should be. And so we began that dialogue as a partnership to look into it together. If you remember last year we had an issue with transportation when things went very, very wrong because people felt they weren't a part of it. Now you have the public out here on what may be to some of you not a big deal, but obviously to them it is. And not to go through the complete process, because I say at the end of the day, what's sad about this whole thing, had we gone through the complete process in an open manner, I probably believe that we could have come to some type of a consensus moving forward. But it stopped. And we were asked clearly to say, let's have those discussions. I go back again. And I truly believe in my heart of hearts that everybody around this table knows the fact that, and I will tell you, I called Thursday, Diane, and asked the contractors there. I called Friday. And I didn't want to believe that we'd be in this situation, but we are. And for us not to table it tonight, to have a further discussion like we're having now, because there's so many questions, is wrong. And I hope it does not happen again, because this is not how the legislative process, and we are the legislative branch, should be working. Thank you.
Okay, goes back to me again. Number one, I think people, Deanie, that use the bike trail don't eat hot dogs. So we don't have to worry about the hot dog stands there. We've done this already. Lake Lenida has a nature trail around it, and Lake Lenida has bridges sponsored by businesses. And we did a partnership with DEP. So we already have a precedent on this. No one said a word about it. Sam, you're right. This is America. It's a capitalist country. There's no guarantee of profit. There's no guarantee of how much money you're going to make. But that's what America's all about. Every business in this county that opens up, you never know how you're going to do. And and I'm not denying that to everyone. Richie and Ivan, you guys could go bankrupt, and we cannot get a dime. But I'm not afraid to experiment. I'm not afraid to try new things, and I'm not afraid to try to keep our taxes low. And this could be a really, really good thing. A year from now, if it doesn't work, we get rid of it. We just end the program. If there's such outrage by the public, but everyone's got to see it. We've got to give it a chance to try to do it. And so 12 months. It's just 12 months, and let's give it a try. Let's not be closed-minded. As far as, Sam, the other thing you said about Fred Penna's cost and Deanie, it was inflated. Our highway commissioner is a civil engineer and an attorney. Very, very honorable gentleman, and I believe what he tells me. He's straightening out a mess that he inherited. He's going through one problem after another in every town in this county, and I have a lot of respect for him. So when he gives me a figure, these professional people, I believe them. I don't question people. And Sam, I'd love to know how you calculated your figures. If you would tell me how you did that. But that's for another day.
Well, I was going to say, if you want to know now, I can tell you.
No, but he sent overtime hours to employ
a county employee on that
He sent what they worked on, the hours they worked, where they worked. It was a pretty valid report to me. So again, I guess I don't want to be a dictator, but Sam and I do get along pretty well on the outside. It's like the wolf and the sheepdog. We check in when we come in the cartoon. But I want to just say again that every legislator here, we do care about the county. It's going to be a very close vote tonight. Give it a chance to work. Keep an open mind. It might not work. It might, if it passes, it might not pass. You never know if someone's going to switch their vote. But give it a shot. Let's see. And if it passes, let's see how it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm man enough to stand there next year and say, hey, I tried it. I won't be here. I'll come into the meeting. I'll come in. I honest to God, I will. And actually, that's good. I will. I'm born and raised here. I got my great plots at Raymond Hill Cemetery, so I'll stand by what I say. And I talked to Carl about this yesterday. I said, Carl, would you be willing, if the experiment is a failure, would you go out with me in a chainsaw in one of our trucks and cut them off? Carl said he would go with me. And you know what? I'll promise that on public record tonight. If that screws up and the signs have to come down, I'll go out with Carl. You got to live up to this. All in favor? So,
Mr. Chairman, just on a good note, we always give out proclamations. I have some proclamations to give to us, and I will just read it. On June 24th, I attended the park annual meeting on behalf of ourselves. They had their annual meeting. They wanted to recognize us. I'll just read the proclamation and I'll give it to everybody. In grateful recognition for your support and advocacy in securing the successful financial future and continuation of the park preschool program for 2013-14. And they were very humbled with what we did to keep that program going. I'm happy to say that the governor did realize that these programs are very important, not only for this year, but in future years, and they just wanted to thank us from the bottom of their hearts for recognizing us and funding them, staying afloat until something could be recognized. So congratulations to all of you. I have your certificates here, and I'll give it to you on the way out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Let's finish up the bike trail.
Okay, we have to vote on this. Obviously,
Speak before you vote tonight.
you're not allowed, Jeff, you're not allowed
There's a lot of
to.
misinformation
Jeff, it's against the rules.
that really needs to be addressed. You can amend the rules.
I don't know how to do that.
You don't want to hear it?
Jeff, you can't, Jeff, I'm telling you, Mr. Chairman, Jeff, I'm going to have the sheriff remove you. You can't talk. You will be able to speak in about 5 minutes. Please respect the legislature.
I'm sorry, Chairman.
Yeah, respect that.
Through the chair.
I do, Arthur, you know that. All right, so you have another comment, Deanie?
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, would that be possible for us tonight to suspend the rules, given the fact that we have all the public here, and just allow them the opportunity to speak before we vote? I know it's not.
No, it's not procedure, it's never been done in my 5 years.
Well, you do a lot of things that are not always a
Clem, has this been done
procedure.
before?
Can we do it, Clem?
Deanie, please, has this been done before?
The chair can make a ruling. If the legislature does not like the ruling, they can make a motion to shall the ruling of the chair be sustained, and you vote on that resolution.
All right, let me just, Deanie, please, let me, Deanie, please.
No, I'm not going against
How do you feel about this?
Well, I would allow the public to speak.
Before we vote?
Yeah, I would. We've done it before. We did it at the...
Not our time, Deanie, Sam.
No, the Safe Act meeting that we had, we did it then. We opened it up to public. We allowed them at length to speak before we did any action at all.
Okay, all right, if we've done it,
We did that entity and quite a few others. I mean, we can. It's your prerogative.
No, I want to be respectful to everyone. Sam has more years as legislator than all of us else combined, so...
But you have to okay it.
No, it's fine with me. I want to be safe. So, all right, so we'll let the public's recognition of public first?
Yep.
Okay, I'll ask you to do is everyone come up to the front of the room. When you want to speak, give your name, your town, and I'm going to, if there's a lot of people, we're going to have a time frame on this.
That's fair.
I know you're going to kill me now, Jeff.
Just for clarification, are we restricting this to one agenda item, or can anybody speak on any agenda item this evening before the
This
end
is
of
the last item, right?
I would say this one agenda.
Just this one agenda item.
One topic. Yeah.
One topic.
I think most of the people are here for the one item.
Yeah.
Thank you, Council.
Just for a show of hands, how many people want to speak?
It's not that many. No.
Okay, I asked you to keep it fairly short.
Yeah.
All right, Shannon.
Ready?
Yes.
My name is Jeff Green. I live in the town of Kent. I have no vested financial interest in this project. Legislator Offner, you and the county executive both know that I called you well into last week and volunteered to raise the funds to buy mile markers if public safety was the issue at hand. You did not respond. The county executive's office never bothered to respond to my call. It was clear that public safety was not the primary issue. Several weeks ago, when this issue first came forward, I offered a compromise that I thought might work, and that would be to have Bike Path Country buy kiosks they could place at parking lots along the trailway that would have the informational signs and business advertisements. That wasn't accepted either. The amount of money that Bike Path Country said the county was going to make ranged from, someone said $100,000 before, my calculations come out to $7,700. It does seem that out of a $130 million budget, this county can afford $7,700, or it can afford $60,000 to maintain the facilities that it has. I also asked and questioned, why this facility? Why not the Veterans Park? Why not slap a sign, an advertising sign, a tank in a cage, and a helicopter on a stick at the Veterans Park? No response from the legislature or the county executive's office on that either. You wouldn't do that because this room would be filled with veterans and you would listen to them. But right now, this room is filled with sportsmen and casual people and bird watchers and, the soft people of Putnam County. And you're going to move forward with this. You're going to move forward with this even though you've been given options, even though you've been given opportunities to look at this more closely and say no. Because in the end, we don't benefit, but a company does, a private company does, making profit on county parkland. Other issues arise. Rich, you said in a newspaper article, let's give these people a hand. Let's give them a start, help. getting started as a company. Well, where was Putnam County when I was starting my company? Did Mary Ellen Odell put her face on my advertising flyers? Did the county put their seal on my advertising flyers and say, oh yeah, you know, Taconic Arts, a great painting company, go ahead and use them? No. Instead, this county reached into my pocket, took $250 out, and to force me to pay the county a tax for the benefit of working here. Is that being asked for Bike Path Country? No. Instead, they're getting all of this. They're getting 12 miles of parkland to do what they want with. And their signs, I read the newspaper article the other day. It was really pretty interesting. It was no sex, no drugs, no rock and roll, no Jesus Christ on their signs. But this is going to raise some First Amendment issues. It's going to last a long time. If those signs were on private property, please, bear with me, Barbara, I know this is difficult. If the signs sat on private property, they could have anything on their signs they want. But the signs reside on public property, and therefore First Amendment issues come in. And somebody's going to want to put a sign up there that says, God is dead or something, or, you know, go to Giggles. And you people are going to say, no, it's not in the contract, you can't. They're going to bring the ACLU in here, and they're going to sue you guys. You're going to be in court for years. This is a First Amendment issue as well as it's a financial issue. So everything I heard here from the public, from the legislature, talking about the benefits of this program have been negated in these few minutes. You want mile markers? You sure sat around on it for several years without having mile markers out there. All right? Now all of a sudden you have to have them. I volunteered, and you know I did. Your clerk does, the county executive knows. I will volunteer to read a fundraising effort to buy state standard mile markers and install them on the trail. It's about $1,500. We have a $130 million budget. You can find it, or I'll raise that money, and we can do it that way. So if it's a public safety issue, that's been resolved. If it's a business issue, you know what? No company in this county should get an endorsement by the county executive or the county legislature over any other business in this county, and you're doing that, and you're going to try to do that tonight, and it's wrong. And Rich, you don't even have a contract to look at. And I remember, in this very room, in this very space, you told me the very same words about Tilly Foster. It was going to be great. It was going to work. George was going to bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars of outside revenue. And you know what? We're still paying the bills over there.
That's right.
So that didn't work. So I don't know what it's going to take for the people who want to vote for this. I really want to know why your real reasons are for voting for this. Because I just negated every single one of your purposes for saying so, and there's stuff you're not saying. You got to vote with your conscience, because if you don't, all these people, the 500 some odd people who took time out to sign 552 was it tonight? 552 people signed a petition. You didn't listen to them, you don't care. You made the point of saying, oh, made by somebody from out of the county. So what? Someone who's in our county, doing business here, visiting here, you want to attract tourism, there's somebody here, you took the tourists and you insulted them. Those of you who vote yes tonight on this contract, you're putting a nail in our democracy. You're going to stand naked in front of us and show us exactly who and what you are. We're going to know this. There is no reason to support this contract. There is no reason to support this program. There is a reason to keep our rail trails, our parks, and our facilities advertising free. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jeff. Very well spoken. And thank you, members of the legislature, for letting us have our say. My name is Debbie Ramsey. I am the person who started the petition. I live in Croton-on-Hudson. I bike the trail a lot. I've been from one end of the trail all the way down to Van Cortlandt Park, and I love it. Talk about some areas that aren't so pretty. Go down to Yonkers, go down to the Bronx. Not so pretty. But there's no advertising on the trail. The one thing that I'm really, really concerned about here is that some of you are trying to link advertising with the signs. Those of you who have it in your heart, and it's a good reason to say, we have to have mile markers, we want to have public safety, fine, we are all for that. We don't have a problem with that. We have a problem with selling out our parkland to a for-profit company. You have these signs, and 10% of that sign, as a business person, are you going to pay to have a little bitty tag on a sign that no one can even see? Because that's the size it's going to be. I can't see how you can really hope to benefit from this. You have people who have given you alternatives. And with the meeting I was at before, someone got up and said, let the veterans do this for you. I've had several people say, let the Boy Scouts do this for you. We have a sign company in Putnam. I just think you really need to separate the business aspect from what you really want. If what you really want is to help out this company, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
My name is Jerry Rudnisky. I live in Mayapack. I've been living in this community for about 32 years, I think.
It's my God, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No.
You got to get closer, Jerry.
Now? That's better?
It's on. You just got to talk close to it.
I'm going to try not to cover the areas that were just covered by the previous speakers. One of the things that was mentioned is that Mr. Rathner wanted people to have an open mind. And I wish that 5 of the legislators who voted for this had an open mind. I don't think so. If I was ready to hire a contractor and I saw that they falsified information that they gave to me on recommendations or in previous experience, etc., which this company has done, I wouldn't hire that kind of company. I want to find out, has the legislature ever signed a contract with a company that falsified information on an RFP? I don't know that, but I would assume that you would not do that. But now you're ready to do that. It makes no sense to me. The amount that you would get in money after all of the expenses, and you don't even know what all the expenses are. I assume that it would be very minimal. And it doesn't matter what the signs are made of. It doesn't matter, that it's a safety issue is merely a ruse. We could have signs without having commercialism on our trailway. Do you know of any other trailway in the country that has commercialism, has commercial signs on there? I don't. I've been to quite a few in different areas of the country in my travels, and I've never seen any commercial signs. I think that the fact that some of the people here perhaps know the principals in this company, perhaps that's the reason why you want to give them a chance. But people in the community don't want that. I spoke with at least 100 people, just asking them, what do you think about signs on the trailway? One person out of all that I spoke with said they're in favor of it. All the others said it was a terrible idea. I've used the trailway many times through the years, and I find it very peaceful, and I would hope that the legislature would change its mind and think about the aesthetics of the trailway. Perhaps you need to think that people really do care about what the trailway looks like. And no matter what kind of signs, no matter how beautiful you think those signs are, it's still commercialism. It's still a terrible idea. To me, it seems the only reason it would be acceptable is because it's politically connected. And I think that's...
It's what, Chair?
Politically, in my opinion, I think it's politically connected. That's my opinion. And I would hope that the public's view, and I think if you look at all the people who signed the petition and people who wrote emails to you, I think you'll see that there's far more people against it. And if you're concerned about the will of the public, then you'll change your mind and vote against it when the contract. And the fact is that there was no contract you were even voting on. You didn't even know what you're voting for.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Moshe Waldman. I live in Bangkok. I have raised my daughter on the rail trail, and I watch as other families grow. I see children who get to see a heron, a turtle, to pick a wild raspberry. This is what this is for. I see at 9:15, the moms send their kids off to school. They are out there. They have companionship. They have exercise for free, no paying in the gym. Keeps our community healthier with helpful outdoor activities. The benefits of the rail trail to the entire community, it can't be quantified. But the thing about Putnam County is it's a place of beauty. And that's why people choose to live here. And that's what draws people here as tourists. We have a long tradition of tourism in this county. I think we should exploit the beauty and build on that tourism. I'm sorry to see that the government hasn't done a more proactive job in those terms. But when I think about it, it's like, you want to get some of that New York money up here in Putnam County? Great. Somebody take leadership and get some business people together and maybe work with the MTA. Or somebody else suggested, okay, you want information signs around the parking areas. I'm okay with that. But when I walk down that trail, whether it's with my daughter or my husband or my friends, I'm there for the peace, the beauty, the nature. We absolutely do need the mile markers. It has nothing to do with this project. That is, as somebody else put it, a ruse. We have a responsibility to do signage there, just as we have signage on all our public streets. Just as we have informational signage in our other parks. And to say that this is only possible to achieve through an advertising program is fake. The other thing I have to say to you folks is people are watching. And the ethics behind this is highly questionable. This really does seem favoritism for somebody who has an in with the government. And every one of you who supports this kind of underhanded business will add to the sense of distrust of government by the citizens of this community. You can't trust this business. They've lied to you already. They've lied to you about their prior experience. The signs that people have been shown have varied repeatedly. The contract seems to be a constantly shifting concern. So why would you do business with them? And if you do, and if you want to, why would the citizens of this county trust you? Hi, my name is Jean Hopper. I live in Mayapack. I have 2 teenagers, and again, like Marcia said, we grew up with that bike trail, just like you guys did. It's our version of it. It's no longer the railroad trail that had no signs, that was all nature and vines, and you got to be a kid. I'm hoping my kids can experience a little of that as well. I'd like to address each one of you that we're going to vote yes on this. I usually don't come to these meetings, so I'm a little nervous. I'm sorry.
So am I.
You mentioned, Mrs. Suchamaro, is it? Mm-hmm. That you're looking out for revenue and keeping taxes low. I appreciate that. What's the revenue you will get from this project? Do you know?
Not right now.
No, not right now. So you're going to vote on something. I can give you $10 right now. How's that for revenue? That's revenue. To not do it, to vote no. Or is that considered a bribe? I don't know. Mrs. Nasarino, you mentioned first and foremost safety. Was that what you mentioned?
That is correct.
Why haven't we had mile markers on that trail before this?
That's a good point.
I can't speak to that. I am new on the legislature. I can't speak to what was done in the past. I can only address what is going to be done in the future. And for me, my priority is the safety and welfare.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think I agree with that. Being on that bike trail by myself as a woman, there have been times when I think, gee, who's this person walking towards me? Is something bad going to happen? I've got the cell phone. Oh, no, I don't, because I'm jogging, trying to, get a little thinner. And there's no mile markers, and the police wouldn't know where I am. You're absolutely right. I have a son who's a 16-year-old Boy Scout, Life Scout, looking for a Boy Scout Eagle project. He can get this done, and I guarantee you under $5,000. He can raise that money.
Yep.
But I have something else to add that nobody's really addressed as well. Why are we doing signage? I've seen beautiful mile markers in North Carolina that are in the pavement that you just put there. They're unobtrusive.
Yeah.
When your mower comes, it won't knock those signs down, which happens all the time, and that's also an expense that's going to affect your revenue, Mrs. Uchimara, right? When the mower has to replace those signage things? Okay. I'll be quicker. Mr. Albano mentioned the safety also of his constituents and overwhelmingly supports the mile markers. I do too, but not this way. And I think if you keep an open mind, you'll realize what that Mr. Green said. If he's actually offered you the money to do this, to raise funds, you haven't given us a chance as a community. Has anybody reached out to volunteer groups? Has anybody reached out to bike groups? Has anybody reached out to Boy Scouts? No, and that goes back to what the other gentleman said, that I believe that this company, who I think has the best of intentions, and it's a capitalistic society, woohoo, but goes back to why are they approaching you? Why haven't you come to us? If you can't afford, as a legislator and as a county executive, to put these mile markers, because safety is first and foremost, shame on you, why not? Why haven't you come to those volunteers who are dying to do these projects? Okay, Mr. Ottmer, you also mentioned vandalism. Signage. They're going to vandalize those. It's going to be worse. You talked about dumps and whatever we're passing by. This is just going to have vines growing up it and covering the signage within a year, I guarantee you. You've all seen what the highway department is up against every summer. So now you're talking about maintenance of these signs. The signs are going to fall down. It's biodegradable. How long is that going to last? I don't know, but okay. They're eyesores. You also mentioned they wouldn't buy hot dogs. Is that what you said before?
Well, one legislator said there's going to be hot dog stands in the church.
And I agree with her because you mentioned that the signage, the little advertising, they're going to buy bicycles. Well, if they're going to buy bicycles, they buy hot dogs. Mr. Castellano, you mentioned low taxes. Keep the taxes low. Again, reach out to the community, volunteers, fundraise. The people who use the bike trail are the silent majority. We're the soft-spoken. That's why I'm shaking, because I've never been to one of these, and I feel so strongly about this beautiful bike trail and how we're going about hiding safety under some sort of rushed agreement that's not even existing. I just, I hope that you will keep an open mind and you will really reconsider this. Okay, those of you who are going to vote, please think about this. Thank you.
Chairman, legislators. My name is George Baum. I'm a resident of the town of Kent. I took a short break from the Tour de France to come here. And I will be brief because I have to fly back to Nice on tonight's flight. When I first heard about this proposal, I read about it in the paper, and my first reaction was not, no way, never. My first reaction was, did you get any inputs from the users of the rail trail? And I think that's a big mistake because you can't get a consensus without getting all the stakeholders together. So, Jeff had, I'm going to make some suggestions for you. I know there is because of our economic situation, there's an effort to monetize municipal resources, government resources, all across the country. And I don't think we will be exempt from that pressure. And I'm not totally opposed to finding some way to find some income from this asset. However, it has to be well thought out. Let me say, we ought to separate the issue of mileage markers from any type of advertising. They're two separate issues. So we certainly don't want biodegradable mileage markers on the trail. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. We should not want any kind of advertising on a mileage marker because what if the advertiser doesn't renew his annual payment? So this isn't well thought out. You got to get some kind of, you got to think through all the little details of this. Now, if you go on the Dutchess County Rail Trail, starting at Hopewell Junction up to, on our side, it's only up to Route 55. At each intersection, there is a marker of the roadway. What road are you crossing? That's a very important thing. Possibly, one suggestion you might consider, there ought to be a directory of services that you might be posted at these intersections, because that's how you would go for a beer, bicycle park, find a B&B, bed and breakfast place. Those are the kind of advertisers that users of the rail trail.
George, would you mind repeating that again? I lost you for a second.
Okay, on the Dutchess Rail Trail, at each intersection where the rail trail crosses a roadway, there's a marker as to what the name of the road is. That's very useful. It's as useful as the mileage marker also.
Okay.
Now, at that point, the person who's on the trail has an opportunity to get off the trail and go get a sandwich, a beer, a bicycle park, find a B&B, stay overnight.
But how does he know which direction to go?
Well, what would you, I don't know.
I'm just asking.
Well, you know, so what's an advertiser? You're going to advertise insurance on the rail trail? That really doesn't make any sense. And you certainly don't want to put it along the trail, in the middle of the trail, where you have our countryside, our views, our rocks, and so on. It would have to be at some place that doesn't interfere with what people are looking for when they go on a rail trail. So where you have a road crossing, where you have a parking lot, that might be a more useful place, a less intrusive place to put some kind of signage. And of course, it also has to be limited. But there are other suggestions. You might consider having a website, just to advertise a website, and have advertisers sign on to have ads on your website. Half these people here, 2/3 of them, have smartphones today. They know exactly where they are, but they might want to see what services are available at any particular time, and you could have a link to just have a sign saying, go to www something, and they'll find information about this particular area. So if you had some kind of public input for somebody else other than the person who's trying to sell you the concept, you might come up with something that's acceptable to the community.
George, is there a rail trail society?
There's a Rail to Trail national organization, and they have a regional office. It might be in White Plains, I'm not sure. I will pass that information on.
I appreciate that.
And they may have suggestions of what other communities are doing when they try to get some kind of income from this. And I argue with a lot of my friends about, we want less taxes and more services all the time. It's a dream. We have this wonderful rail trail. We need to make sure that it's maintained well and is available for all of you. So I don't want to take any more. I have to catch a plane. I have to catch a plane to France. Thank you all very much.
Hi, my name is Judy Gordon, and my home is in Mayapack. I want to be brief because I realize there have been many people who've spoken and it's gotten quite late, and I wanted to focus specifically on the safety issue. I personally have had an accident on the bike trail. It turned out it was not in Putnam, it was Westchester. I broke my elbow, I had a plate, pins put in. Fortunately, I got good care and quick care, and it was fine, but I think that safety is appropriately a big concern of this group and should be. I'm very concerned about the nature of the signs that you're describing. There's been a lot of emphasis on the fact that they are tasteful, that the ads are small. As someone concerned about safety and as a member of the Westchester Cycle Club and a volunteer for that club who leads rides, one of the things that we tell our cyclists, our members, when we go out on rides, is that your focus needs to be in front of you. You need to be concentrating on what's in front of you, what's on the ground, be wary and be pointing out obstacles. To tell people to look at signs, I think would be a horrible, or to even encourage them to be looking at signs on the sides of the road instead of keeping their focus in front of them and on the ground, I think would be very detrimental. So the fact that they're small and tasteful, to me, is not a positive, it's truly a negative. I also wanted to mention the fact that I ride the trail from the Bronx. I work in New Rochelle, so frequently I ride all the way. I ride down to the Bronx, I ride up here, and I value very much the fact that that's an area I can go to where I know that I'm going to be looking at trees, I'm going to be looking at birds, but I'm going to be focusing on where I'm going. And so I hope that you will keep that in mind. I'm encouraged by the fact that despite the fact that there was some reluctance to let the public speak before the vote, that eventually that became the decision of the group.
I apologize for that.
I appreciate the notion of participatory democracy that's been emphasized throughout the evening, and I would really encourage you to continue that theme as you move forward in making this decision. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm from Mayhack. I just have a question. This company has been coming to you for 3 years now, and everyone keeps saying they don't understand why they're pushing so hard to get this through and why no one can wait and understand. I only have one idea. They're from this area. And I've spoken to some friends of mine, and the only thing we can kind of get the idea for is maybe because they weren't able to push this through in Florida. I mean, maybe the only reason could be is that they need this to go through somewhere, to bring it through to other trails in the area. Because once it succeeds in one area, then they can kind of showcase to say, look, it worked here in Putnam, and now they can point and say, look, it was successful, or even if it wasn't successful and showed profit, at least they can say, here it is, and they can call you guys in Putnam and say, do you have it up and running? And you guys can attest to the fact that, yes, it is up and running. It might not show a profit, but it is up and running, and now you guys can sign off on it. So that is one reason. And no, it's not a Putnam County. It's not a business in Putnam. Aren't they located in Westchester? This business? Aren't they in Somers?
I really don't know.
I believe it is. So before you were saying that people were signing...
Except for the executive branch of the government to sign contracts and
Well, you
they
were
put
saying
the
before
RFPs
that there
out.
were people signing...
We have no part of that.
That were not in Putnam, but I believe this company is in Westchester. So that's just something I was bringing up because you were saying.
Rich and Ivan, where's your company located?
Baldwin Place, right on Putnam, Westchester line in Putnam County.
Okay. In Putnam County?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Baldwin Place?
Baldwin
Well,
Place
you know
is
where
Somers.
Sarah's coffee shop?
No.
It's right
That's
outside.
Somers.
That's Somers. That's Somers.
County working. Yeah, I do.
Okay, I was
Okay.
I was just bringing.
No, I just want to clarify.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Good evening, my name is Ann Panizzi. I'm from the town of Southeast Wisconsin. We have an example of the effort of government to help companies. And it's an effort that Republicans railed against because they felt that there wasn't insufficient vetting of that company, and that company, what shall I say, had influential friends who wanted to give that company a leg up. I'm talking about Solyndra. Solyndra lost this country $500 million, and it was only because of the lack of due diligence by elected officials. And I hate to accuse anyone, but I think that when we have sufficient evidence to hold into question someone who has a proposal, then it is our duty and our responsibility to save taxpayers money, Ms. Scuchamara, by not giving any contracts, by not taking a chance. We don't take a chance with people's money and people's taxpayer money. That is not the kind of chance that I particularly like. And I don't appreciate that some of my legislators are going down that particular road. The second point I'd like to make, and it was a point that was made by Mr. Green, and it's a point that I even made on other emails. I'd like to see you deny any business, the right to advertise on a sign. And we know, Mr. Green mentioned Giggles. Well, we have in the town of Southeast a wonderful adult bookstore that is 25 years old, a couple of years ago. Had a huge party. I'd like to see them. Oh, yes. I was invited. What can I tell you? So here we have really First Amendment right, and since the county is involved in it, what liability does the county have to violate First Amendments of anyone, or to become the moral police of who and should not, and who should be on a sign and who should not be on a sign? The last thing I want to say is that there have been several suggestions I have made, Mr. Green has made, other people have made, that really what you're doing is really a slap in the face to the two principles of this county, and that is volunteerism and veterans. Volunteers put up the kiosk at the corner of Willow Road, and on that kiosk is information about Putnam County. And it was an Eagle Scout that won his badge by doing it. We do not need to go down this road. There was a motion, I believe, earlier in the evening to table that was defeated. That is the wise course to take. I have a little rule, it's called the 24-hour rule, anytime I really want to jump into something that I shouldn't. Sometimes it should be the 48-hour rule. And I earnestly plead with you to reconsider and to really consider what we're doing. There are expectations concerning this particular sign. This company has no track record, none, like Solyndra, no track record. And in the end, the people pay, and pay dearly. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathy. I'm from Southeast, and I just want to thank you in advance before I make my comments so that hopefully I don't mess it up. But I live in Southeast, and in the residential community, and the bike path is going a couple houses from my house. I didn't move here to be having a sign, and I'm not going to name, Joe Establishment in my backyard. I didn't move there for that. So I'm really against it. Another thing I just wanted to ask the question is, which district supports Baldwin Place?
That's me.
It is a real Putnam?
Part of it. It's on the county line.
They're over on the 118. It's on the border. I believe it's Selma's, the offices.
Okay, yeah, it's another, I don't know, it's an example.
I don't even know why we should be discussing their location. We don't even know their location.
And just part of being in Southeast, that we went through these huge signage rules that it's just gonna be a debacle, and I don't know, it's gonna cost money that they're already fighting so many signs over there. And just to link it to something else, I mean, this is a huge, I don't know how to say it, moral question, that it's like selling your soul. They don't have signs in public parks, there's no Mount Rushmore holding, let's go to Joe Eatery. And I don't really think we should have that here either. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Pat. I'm from Mayapack. I have a question. I actually sent a letter in to you guys, and I asked, has anyone done a trail study to see how many people actually use this trail?
I didn't do a study, but when I'm on it, there's a lot of people on it.
I know, but do you know how many people you actually physically walk this trail? And how many of those are repeaters? How many of those are on this trail daily, weekly? Who are you trying to reach with these signs? If it's the same people over and over and over again. I thought it was partially for the businesses. I mean, once people know where a store is, they know where a store is. What is the whole point of having these signs? I mean, if I travel to an area and I know that Joe's store is at this corner, I don't have to be told over and over and over again. Are these signs going to be rotated? To me, it's ridiculous to have signs. You don't even know how many people are on the trail, how many people are repeat people. What about you want to draw in tourists? How many tourists or people who use trails in other areas are going to want to come in to an area that has signs all over it? They're not going to. It's a ridiculous notion. And I'd like to know another thing. This whole to-do about monies, why hasn't the county ever reached out and done anything for the trail? Why haven't you done a bike-a-thon, a walk-a-thon? Had the community come out on the trail? Why haven't you reached us and said to us, we need help? Tell me why. Why is this the way to go? It's ridiculous and it's wrong. And we don't need to see sign pollution littered all over Putnam County where the country begins.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, thank you, everybody. All right, I'm going to go on to item 6. No, we have to vote on this, right? All right, I'd like to make a motion for an executive session. I'd like to have a second.
Why? You can't, it's illegal. What's your
Is it illegal, Clint?
No, it's not illegal.
I'd like to digest what we just heard from the public.
We can do it in open session, Mr. Chairman, I think. Executive session would not be right, because it's not a contractual matter. We're not discussing the contract. We're discussing this, I don't even know what to call it, a proposal to consider a contract is what we're doing. We can do that in open session. We've heard the public. I think, Mr. Chairman, we've really heard the public. And I think I'm certainly able to make my decision with no further discussion.
I mean, if you want further discussion through the chair, Rich, we can have further discussion.
I just want to kill myself trying to tell you this is terrible.
Listen, you can change your vote. You can change your vote.
Mr. Chairman, I'll tell you what I'd like to do.
Don't say that.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, what I would like to do, because we were presented with a great deal of public input, and I think that's wise, and I think that's good. I would like to move to table this. I would like to table this.
Let them stand on the merits, up or down,
It's up to the rest of the committee. Jeff, it's not the...
George Baum lives in Kent. I'm friends with George Baum. The man is a phenomenal athlete, and I'm interested in what he said about Dutchess County. I'd like to... It's not just the signs and the cost of the Boy Scouts putting in the signs. I know that can be done by volunteers, but we have miles and miles of trees that need to be trimmed for safety. We're going to have to repave and we have to re-blacktop the trail again. And the grants that we received to initially construct the trail, they're just for the initial construction of it. They're not for the maintenance, and that's the part that's going to hurt us as a county financially.
We're not going to make any money.
What's that? We don't know. That's the whole thing. We don't know how the revenue. It's an experimental business. No, it's please hear me out. Please hear me out.
Listen,
we're trying to find a creative way to help us out tax-wise. There are a few people make comments. It's political, and they want to know what our real reasons are for supporting this company. We did my reasons are pure, and I stand by my honor, and I'll stand against anyone in that. Jeff, you know, I'll be the last guy in the trench with a bayonet. I would never betray the public. The thing is, this was RFP. Did go out for a request for proposal. The one thing that I didn't like was there was only one answer for the request for proposal.
Right.
And that, I mean, it's to me that's an embarrassing thing to me. But I'd like to do what Anthony DiCarlo said in the beginning or Dini, whichever one said table it. I really would, because I can't make a and I don't want to. I feel bad because I've never switched my vote before. But I'd like to make a motion to table.
Mr. Chairman, just before you make that motion, I think this is important. It's a council issue because, again, I've been through it in the town of in the town of Carmel, and it's the First Amendment issue. We do not want to open ourselves up, because I'll tell you what happened. The Giggles issue was a major issue. It was ex post facto, and then we came in with a law after they were already in. So I asked council, and maybe this is an important question, because it came up. And here's what I mean by process. Had we had the time to have these discussions, some of this would have been fed out. I have a real concern about First Amendment, because I got to tell you something. We'll have a lot of unhappy people if there's signage on that bike path that kids see about specific areas that are not appropriate. And so I ask that as a very important issue of what our liability is or isn't. That's a paramount question. Paramount.
Thank you, Anthony. I'm still in favor of it, but I'm not really comfortable making a vote tonight because, like what Anthony said, there's some questions I really want to be sure of.
I have no problem with that.
And you sure, Jenny? Go ahead.
Again, excuse me? Again, I remain steadfast with my rationale for supporting the signs and the markers. I think that it was a great thing to have the public speak before the vote was taken. I honor each and every one of you and what you have to say, and we are listening. I would move to table. I do have to say that I do take issue the fact that you've alluded to some mistrust or some connection with this company. For the record, again, I stand by my honor as well. I do not know these people. I've never met them. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. And I think that is important. I think none of us here are disingenuous in our reason for our votes. But there was information brought forth tonight, some very valid information, some very strong considerations, and that we should take a deep breath and maybe digest it a little bit more. But again, I feel very strongly, I myself, like that lady said, I walk the bike path, I get an eerie feeling when I feel footsteps behind me, and it's a scary feeling. I am a big advocate to help our first responders, to help people in need. So, the markers. The markers. The markers.
Wait, it's time for no cross-conversation. Hold on, no cross-conversation.
Okay, I would just address that, though, because our first responders in the event of emergency will be able to pinpoint where we are. We are of emergency. I'm not going to engage in dialogue with you. I'm just going to make a statement. Our first responders have come out wholeheartedly and said in order for them to get to a scene or to address a person who is injured or whatever the incident or accident may be, the markers would help them to pinpoint the location. So that I wholeheartedly support. I do think the First Amendment rights, however, are a very strong consideration that we need to reflect on and we need to speak of, so I do not think that we should rush this through this evening.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to piggyback on a comment that you made. The RFP process was very disturbing to a lot of us. And the question is, and I've been asked this many times, was the RFP process put forward upon the request of the company? Was it something the county just decided? I know the legislature wasn't involved in any RFP process. We were never requested because we had denied the commercialization of that bike trailway 2-3 years ago. So I would definitely like to table this and just check this whole Megillah out and put this thing in its proper perspective, which we really haven't had the opportunity to do. So I would definitely like to move to table this back to physical service, and if need be, back to another full meeting at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, if you're thinking about changing your vote, I think we should vote now.
I'm not thinking of changing my vote, but I'm thinking that we should certainly vet this out a little bit more in order to make an informed decision on behalf of all the people that came out tonight to express their opinions.
It reminds me of the transportation meeting last year, where
we needed to discuss it a lot.
So I'd like to table. I don't like to. I usually like to do what I'm going to do, but there was a lot of good testimony tonight from people, and I still would like to get revenue from the bike trail, and I just want to, for the public, they should have clarification. You know, which signs are going to be where. You know, at the intersection, is there going to be a main sign? You know, with the stores and everything else.
We don't know any of this. That's the problem.
Yeah, I feel terrible.
Yeah. I would like to formally make that motion to table. Can I have a second?
I'll second, but can I just add something since I brought up the initial table and also the request to the chairman to suspend the rules to allow the public to speak. And I want to say, Rich, we don't always get along, but I'm very proud of you tonight.
All right, so roll call vote for the table.
Roll call vote to table.
Legislator Albano.
No.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator DeCarlo.
Yes.
Legislator Gross.
Yes.
Legislator LeBeau.
Yes.
Legislator Nasarino.
Yes.
Legislator Oliveri.
Yes.
Legislator Stucci.
Yes, reluctantly.
Chairman Allen.
Yes. All right, how many legislators? Jeff, don't thank you. This is terrible. And when people said that there's a higher, motive for us to do that was wrong to say, because there's not. We're trying to do the right thing here, all of us, and the administration and everybody.
Take your time. Take your time, vet it properly. Look at the alternatives. I'll give you $25 right now for the purchase of this. And Jimmy insist must be there. Here's the money. Take it from me.
Does any other legislator have anything to say?
No, I just want to close the meeting by saying Happy 4th of July.
Mr. Chairman, there may be other.
We're not closed.
There may be other comments that the general public wants to make.
Other business yet.
Oh, yeah, we have 6A.
We have the other business, 6A.
Thank you.
All right, item 6A, approval budgetary amendment, Commissioner of Highways, Facilities. It's zero impact for 2013 and 14.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a comment to everyone. If everyone can quiet down, I'd like to close the meeting in honor of the 19 firemen in Arizona that were killed. And keep their family in your prayers.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, public comment? Public comment.
We had it already.
No, we had it on one topic. We only had it on one topic, Rich. So public comment, yeah, we need to do that. Just ask if there's
Any other public comment on anything?
Did the right thing. Thank you.
public comment. Yes.
Good evening. I'm not here to speak on any of the agenda items, but I just want to take a quick opportunity. I've worked with several of you in other municipalities around the county and with the county legislature. My name is Glenn Blackman. I'm a labor relations specialist for CSEA. And just as you have your elections, CSEA has our elections, and I would just like to introduce to you our new unit president, representing Putnam County employees, Johnny Candidate. Many of you have worked very closely with our past president, John Mulroney. John Mulroney has decided to not run. He will hold office on the executive board, but he's no longer president. And I just want to take this opportunity to introduce myself to those of you who I haven't met yet, and to introduce Janet. We look forward to working with you. And just give you a quick update, we are working with the county executive to try and reach a contract with CSEA. We've given some proposals, we've been back and forth, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to reach an agreement in the near future.
Good.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?